Welcome to the all-new Belphemon deck gameplay guide. Now, we got most of the support from EX10, but I didn't cover that during that time because I was waiting for this perfect moment to alongside wait for the Belphemon X-Antibody, which is absolutely insane. The power it has and the damage it can deal is just clearing all your opponent's security, and you can OTK out of nowhere. So we're playing the good old Gizmon package along with Ukomon, so I can cycle and draw as many cards. And in the early game stages, we're just trying to cycle through our Gizmons as much as possible, set up our Akihiko Tamers, and then once we get into that, eventually we want to be able to play out our Belphemon Sleep mode to then set up for our Rage mode gameplay overall. Now, generally, I don't try to chip away the opponent's security that much unless if I feel like I need to cycle some cards or if I feel like my Digimon's getting removed. But generally, with my Gizmons, I'm trying to float them as much as I can to keep bodies on the board so that I can end up deleting them to reduce the play cost to get into my next levels over and over. And by doing so, I can draw more cards. AT is the most ideal one because it draws 2s and trash 2s. And with this deck, we need to make sure that we have 6 or fewer cards in our hand once we get into that late game combo, because if we have that, then we can gain all the additional buffs and get the maximum value out of it in order to go for all the checks. Now, I'm going to end the turn by going into XT. I'm going to give the opponent 3 memory, which they're going to gain an additional 1 with Yuji to work with, but at least I can establish Akihiro as soon as possible, play out a second XT, and by doing so, there's no second Akihiro to play, which is a little unfortunate. Maybe I could have set that up a little bit better in my prior turns, but I'm not entirely sure. But generally, by having at least the old BT23 Akihiro, I can start drawing and trashing cards at the every end of single turn, and by doing so, then I can eventually reduce my play cost with my Belphemon, which is going to be really important to help me set up cards in the trash at the same time. And also, then I can tuck it underneath to delete the opponent's level 6 Digimon if I ever need to. But generally, this is the Akihiro we want to set up as soon as possible, like I said once again, because it can help us get into Belphemon quickly, and we want to hard drop our Belphemon by deleting the XT to pay 2 memory instead. The opponent is going to climb all the way up at this moment. They do go into Cannon Demon right here, but they're going to end the turn as the level 5, which tells me if we ever try to attack into them, they might go into a Tiger Vespermon, which can be kind of bad for us because bouncing effects are generally pretty strong against, like, you know, decks that need to be deleted, such as us. So here, I'm not going to really thinking I want to attack into the security or not. I'm trying to decide if I want to evo into Fascomon as well either or not. The only downside with the Fascomon and playing the Demi-Meramon Egg, which I'm kind of like preferred at the moment because I get to draw and cycle cards, set up the stuff that I need, find what I need, but I have to pay 1 memory to evo into that. But either way, I see a play, might as well get into my Belphemon Sleep mode already by deleting the XT so that I can then tuck away the Rage mode that I want to set up from EX10. The new one, you mainly want to focus on the EX10 one now because it's just incredibly powerful with that damage that you get, and the things that you can delete is just outright crazy. But here, I think I could have played a Proto Gizmon back from the trash, which I forgot to utilize off of XT's Ondulation effect, but I may not have one either. I think I might be getting it confused between Punkmon because it has like the same color orangey background, so maybe I didn't have one. Anyways, here I'm set up for lethal next turn because if the opponent's not able to stop me from attacking, then I'm just going to clear out all their security and swing multiple checks. So they go into a Queen Beemon in the end. With Queen Beemon, they're going to play out another Queen Beemon, which is going to have pretty good like floating in a way where like they get to recover back into security if they ever were in danger. They do get to actually alliance with their hits first before we actually suspend them. But either way, I get to trash cards from my hand. That's what I want to do with the Belphemon Sleep mode. And even though I don't really get to suspend anything, by at least trashing the 2 cards away from my hand, I set up myself to have like 6 or fewer. So that now, by the start of the main phase, eventually, I can go into that Rage mode and gain all those buffs because that is one of the requirements. But before that happens, I'm going to use the end of turns of Akihiro to draw and trash 1, and then also put it underneath Belphemon Sleep mode, so then I can actually delete a level 6. They are going to use the protection so they can flip the security face down, push out my Fascomon, search with the Uko, hatch another egg, and then now by going into that Rage mode is going to suspend everything that they have on the board there, but everything's suspended to begin with. We're going to attempt to delete one of them, and then they're going to have their protection that can be used once again because they used it once during the end of the opponent's turn, and then now this is like our turn, so that's going to be that other one. But by having at least the 2 memory to work with, I can go into Belpha X and then delete both the Queen Beemons, and my whole intention off of that is to basically swing for 3 checks without suspending first, But of course, they do have a royal base option card, which we do know. They're going to play out a Cannon Beamon from their hand, which is going to be awkwardly de-digivolving our Belphemon X all the way back down to Akihiro, which is a little unfortunate because I would have gone for the OTK right there. But they may also have a Tiger Vespa Ace to play around us as well. So I'm trying to see what else I want to do here. I'm going to try to chip with the Phascomon. Looks like they're not really reacting. So I felt like they probably don't have the Tiger Vespa Ace there. I did forget to draw one and trash one with the Undulation of Demimeramon because I was too busy trying to resolve the Phascomon effect, so I completely forgot about that, so apologies. But here I'm going to continue to chip away at them. So if they're letting me chip away, then okay, you know what? Just to be safe, maybe they're just waiting for the right moment instead. Then I'm just going to go into another sleep mode, tucking in a rage mode by deleting my XT, and this time now I do have a Protogeist to play out for sure and pass the opponent back. And I kind of doubt they can really finish us off just here because even with Tiger Vespamon, they probably need to like unsuspend more than that. They're going to be able to go for like 2 checks with it, if anything, and then 1 check with Funbimon, and then this will still be at 0 security. They don't have anything to like kind of finish us off right there. So I felt like I'm okay positioned just because as well with this older sleep mode from BT13, I can always still negate an attack. So I'm pretty safe. And the thing is, if I trash away cards from my hand, again, I'm going to reach that threshold that I need to, which I already have very little in my hand to begin with. So I'm not too worried because now for the next turn, I can go for that play. Looks like they go slam down a Forge Beamon. Now the thing is that everything that they have with Royal Base right now does have blocker because of the Cannon Beamon that's being in the security, but I'm not worried about that at all because Belphemon Rage Mode is just going to suspend all of them anyways and play around it. So the only thing again I'm just really need to be careful and play around is Tiger Vespamon. That's just generally the thing. And of course I'm going to attempt to delete the Cannon Beamon, so they're going to put the Forge Beamon in there instead. And with that, they are going to give their entire Royal Base board extra 1000 DP all turns, which is actually something I don't mind having because what I can do is I still swing with the Rage Mode either way to clear out all the security. If they Tiger Vespa Ace me, I can actually drop the Gallant Promo Gallantmon because then they do have a 13k or higher body on the board, and then that will actually get rid of the Tiger Vespamon. So I'm just going to swing over it anyways and try to pierce for the 2 checks, which does happen, and they let through. It looks like they don't have it, so we're able to finish off with Protogeist on the side to win. Next game, we're facing off against Mastemon, which is certainly one of the most hyped decks currently in BT23. We are going first, and I don't mind keeping this hand just because I see a Ukomon, Evo for 1, perfect, and then I'll just see how I go from there just because I want to search and find pieces. The opponent responds with their own Uko as well and setting up a Mirai. So by pushing out, I'm going to have to grab a piece. This is kind of unfortunate because it's like, there's 2 rage modes and I feel like if I don't grab one, I won't see one ever again, but I feel like I really need the XT as well to set up Akihiro to start drawing and trashing cards and all that, which is kind of what I opted in to grab in the end, just because I really want to go for this play with ending my turn, just by deleting my AT, going out with the XT, and then now I can play out the Akihiro and basically have one established on the board, and I have like Gizmons to work with as well if I ever need them. So at least I have a blocker too, so I can kind of like stop attacks if I need to, and then now I can push out with the Phascomon in this following turn and start searching. The opponent is just trying to find their pieces and taking their time a little bit, but luckily I did manage to find another Rage Mode, specifically from EX10 once again, just because it's so good of a card, and that's the main Rage Mode that you want to be finding and seeing now. So I'm going to chip away with the Phasco, have it get deleted, fantastic, so then I can grab a piece by searching, grabbing myself the Proto Giz, and then now on deletion I get to draw one and trash one. Here I actually mistakenly trashed the Belphemon X because I actually was supposed to trash the Proto Giz instead, and I actually kind of like took that back and just kind of like recurred the mistake there because what I wanted to do was then delete my XT, go into Belpha Sleep Mode, tuck a Rage Mode underneath, and then now I can play a Proto Giz so that I can draw one and trash one. The only thing is I'm not going to be able to choke the opponent to like 1 memory, so I'm going to have to end up giving them at least like 3 by playing this Phascomon, so might as well just to search, grab a piece if I need to. I was contemplating on grabbing the Astamon, but I felt like every single other card in my hand was so important for the wrestle combo piece to like finish the opponents off, so I just decided to grab the Akihiro and then just like toss it away in the end, just because I have like the winning combo there. You know, I wanted to keep the second sleep mode in case if I needed to get into it, so that I might, if I can't finish the opponents off, I want to have double Belphemon X as well. So that could be fantastic for me. But I think I could have actually like trashed away the sleep mode, kept another card in my hand because I can always evo the sleep mode back from the trash. But the thing is, this BT13 sleep mode is going to get trashed anyways, so I can evo into it again with Belphemon X at the end of attack for free. So again, that's the whole reason why I just felt like every single card in my hand was like felt relatively important. That way I can at least still like play something, and yeah. And I wanted to keep the promo Gallon too, because I think it's a potential finisher if the opponent like doesn't like see us coming, where we can always like delete our own Belphemon X stack or delete one of their masters on the board too if they ever try to get into one. And it's a pretty neat, unique finisher instead of like only just relying on Belphemon X specifically. Anyways, the opponent is going to climb all the way up. They get to search and, you know, go with the Gato with the starter deck, which is fantastic. Digivolve into Angelmon from BT11, go through the security, and now they can play out a Lady Devimon, which is going to end up popping out Fascomon, which gives it another search again, you know, grabbing a piece, trashing away. But now here I decide to, okay, you know what? I think I'm pretty secure in the next turn because I can't see anything that they can do really crazy. So that's at the moment I decide to toss away the second sleep mode because I can kind of see like myself like potentially winning a game. Unless if they have like some kind of security bomb. But either way, they will trash like the security down to 3 and then tuck away our Proto Giz. And then now with Angelmon resolving, they pretty much get to like, you know, grab the top security and recover one. Now at the end of turn, this is where things get a little interesting. I'm going to draw one, trash one on Akira. I'm going to tuck it underneath to delete their Mastermon because I want to get rid of it. Because if as soon as in this turn, if I don't get rid of it, I check into the security, they're going to tuck my Rage Mode away, which I don't want it to happen, or Belphemon X. So by deleting it, I get rid of it, they are going to be able to partition out, they are going to gain that memory because it's still technically their turn because it's at the end of their turn. They can gain 1 memory, but it doesn't matter because 2 memory is all I need. And as soon as I turn to Rage Mode, it's just incredibly insane. I suspend like all their Digimon that's level 5 or lower. I gain the buffs that I need with security attack +2 and 3000 DP, which I'll overcome everything. And all I have to do is to go into Belphemon X to delete all their level 5s, which are going to be the Lady Devis and Angelmons, which allows me to play around any potential Master Aces, swing over to Uko, pierce for 3 checks, and then just swing once more to finish them off just like that. This game we're facing off against Galaxy, which I think is still a very strong competitive deck, and generally I feel like this is quite a bit of uphill battle and kind of tough for Belphemon in general because they have a lot of control tools. They can climb up so fast up into their line, and with their toolbox style, like we can't really anticipate what's exactly going to come against us, and it really depends on what they dish out. It makes it difficult for us to play around generally too. But either way, we are going second. We have Ukomon. So I felt like this is pretty good to start off with, and depending on how much memory they give us, we can kind of like, you know, make the best out of it anyways. They give us 4 memory with Coincide, but this is one of the scary things facing against Galaxy because all they need is 1 rookie in the back plus Coincide. They just turbo cycle like crazy afterwards. So I'm just going to evo into Uko at the back for 1. I'm going to play out the Proto Giz for the full cost. That way I can draw 1 and trash 1. That way I don't have to delete the egg. And I, you know, most importantly, the thing what I'm trying to do is I can push out the Uko next turn, cycle through, search for more cards that I need, and also like try to achieve my game plan. That way I also have a Akihiro setup, which I hard play for 3 since they start at 3 memory anyways. But you guys can see they Digivolve into Pheramon already, or Flareamon, and they start searching, and then now they can use the Tamer to go into Galgamon for free, which is then going to gain them a memory where we both draw a card, and because they have like 3 sources, they can gain that memory, and then now they can use Sunmon to actually Digivolve into a level 5 no problem, and still keeping their turn. And then this is where they can even go into level 6 as a follow-up. So yeah, like I mean, like that is just like crazy. Turn 2 going all the way up like this and cycling, drawing so many cards, searching as well. So they go into Cressamon, so they actually don't need to pay that 1 memory because Cressamon is going to reduce its evo cost by 2, and then someone's actually going to reduce it by another 1, so they're still at 2 memory either way. They're going to stun down our Proto Giz, but like I mentioned before, I'm not really intending to chip with my Proto Giz anyways because I'm trying to like delete them to play out the AT. They're going to go for a jamming check into us, and it is going to be a Belphemon X, so it's not going to matter, whatever. And they're gonna go into Blue Scramble. I think they're considering going into a top end, but I think they actually want to use the Lunamon Inherit effect to tuck it underneath to draw a card back into a Galgamon instead here. And then I think they're just gonna end the turn by going into level 5 now instead, which actually would put us into 1 memory if they go into the new one right here. But if they were going to go into older like Cressamon or even the older Pheramon, they could probably like go into a level 6 and, you know, build up an even stronger stack with more inherent effects. Either way, we're going to push out with Uko. We're going to try to take advantage because there's no level 6 on the board present just yet. That's really going to do too much on their side. So I'm going to be able to grab a piece. I am stunned down with Akihiro and Proto Giz, but that doesn't matter because, again, like Akihiro doesn't need to suspend to use this effect. Proto Giz, I intend to delete off to play out the AT anyways. And then I can draw 2 and trash 2. So now I can set up an XT in there. And then with Proto Giz's effect, I'm going to bottom deck itself along with the XT I have in trash to play out a second AT so that I can draw 2 and trash 2 as well. So I'm cycling as much as I can, tossing away the pieces that I don't want in my hand, which are going to usually be my rage mode. I felt like I should have kept the sleep mode in my hand, but I felt like I have enough to work with. I feel like I want to keep like the fast go, the potential analog youth that could be useful for me as well. So that way I could like utilize them to dig more cards if I need in the following turn. But back again, the opponent's going to start at 3 memory. And here I'm just really anticipating which level 6 they're going to get into. Because either they're going to go into like the older Belphemon for lots of damage. They can go into any like blue stuff like Hexablaumon to like bottom deck my Tamer, which is going to be pretty detrimental. But it looks like they're going to regress down first. And then they're going to go into a Huankumon, which is going to play out a Lunamon. Maybe they're still searching and try to find a potential level 6 to get into. I was gonna say otherwise they could have went into Apollo and go for like a ton of checks too if they do play the one from EX5, but with Huankumon, this is only gonna allow them to go into a regular blue Digimon that's level 6, but they go into Mirage right here. Now the nice thing about Mirage for us in this matchup is I'm not too scared because I don't have a lot of cards in my hand to begin with. And they're not going to gain a ton of memory, but they are going to end up bouncing our Gizmon AT, and they are going to go swing for jamming 1 check and unsuspend by tucking in the Lunamon on the side, and then they can go for another one if they need to, which they are applying pressure and damage into our security, because at this moment, we have not taken down a single of the security just yet. But that's usually the game plan anyways, because then I could just, you know, the idea is to go into Belphemon to do the rest of the checks, so that I'm not really like attacking. I don't want to attack into them to give them any value. And this is an awkward position because they just simply play a blue scramble and then pass us to 1. I can't push out that Uko because I push it out, I'm going to grab a piece. And if I grab a piece, I'm pretty sure I'm going to pass my turn because at this moment, I already have 8 cards in my hand and I don't want to give them 2 memory. So what I have to do here is I'm going to play out Astamon for full 7 cost. I'm going to delete the AT so that I can Digivolve into Belphemon Sleep Mode to tuck the Rage Mode underneath. Now, the only downside is that I can't delete the Ukomon with Astamon. It has to be a purple Digimon to begin with. So I end up giving the opponent quite a bit of memory. I thought of doing the play where I would just use Akihiro to delete the AT and then play out the sleep mode. And I can reduce it by 5 cost. So I give the opponent less memory to work with anyways. But I feel like it just doesn't matter anyways because they're just going to gain a ton of memory this particular turn because they go into Galgamon, they're going to force me to draw a card, they're going to gain 1 off its own effect, and they gain a bunch, at least 2 with Mirage, and they'll just basically be at maximum memory. They're printing it no matter what, and they can go into a level 6 with all that anyways, and I just felt like, yeah, it didn't matter. Whereas, more importantly, if I had Asta, I can utilize its inherit effect to potentially trash away the Punkmon, which I have in my hand, to play it back out, and I have a blocker plus a negate attack to interact against them to try my best to stop them from attacking, because in the following turn then I could go for my explosive play. The nice thing is that Galaxy somewhat doesn't have like a really good protection, and the Mirage, it doesn't have protection because it needs to be like, you know, the similar trait of the Light Fang and Night Claw trait in order to actually be able to protect it from the Crescimon or even from the Lekismon that is both like purple and blue. So if I do go into Belphemon's Rage Mode the next turn, I can actually just pop everything, go for all the checks, and they don't really have a whole lot of defenses unless if they go into Hexablau or some sort. So either way, they're going to come here and here and going to play out a Lunamon, swing, unsuspend, and interact with us. We are going to trash away that Punkmon, like I said, reducing the amount of cards in my hand, although it doesn't matter anymore at this point because they already gained all the memory they needed in their turn. But at least when it comes to our turn, we know we can limit the amount of memory that we're gaining. But we just end up getting, our Punkmon just end up getting stunned by the Crescimon, so we can't even block with it, which is kind of sad, unfortunately. So they do end up going through a check. Analog Youth is going to be found here. I felt like this is pretty much doomed at this moment because I'm just thinking, how else can they like finish us off? But they can just simply just Digivolve up the line, and maybe we might have a next turn. just because like there's no other swings right here. You know, by having that next turn, we can at least maybe try to clear their board and stabilize, but there's still a blue scramble to work with on their end. They go into Dianamon, which you can strip away sources from our Uko and bottom deck it, and then they finish us off with an Omni X either way, which is rather unfortunate, so we'll get them next time. The Twilight Angels playmat and dice is now live on the AVAULT store. Make sure to grab them along together with the collection so you get additional memory markers all together. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video, and this is AVAULT signing